Death Note, 2017, follows Light Turner, an intelligent but socially isolated high school student in Seattle who struggles with anger over the injustice in the world, especially the death of his mother whose killer escaped punishment. Light lives with his father, a police officer committed to the law, creating tension between them. Light believes the system fails victims while his father insists on due process and justice. This internal conflict becomes central to the story once Light gains the power to act on his beliefs. One day during a storm, a mysterious notebook called the Death Note falls from the sky and lands near Light. When he discovers it, he reads its rules. Anyone whose name is written in the notebook will die as long as the writer knows their face. At first skeptical, Light soon encounters Ryuk, a terrifying and otherworldly death god, Shinigami, who dropped the notebook into the human world out of boredom. Ryuk explains that the notebook is real and that Light is now its owner. Though initially frightened, Light becomes fascinated by the possibilities of such power. Light tests the notebook by writing the name of a violent criminal he sees on the news specifying the manner of death. When the death occurs exactly as written, Light realizes the notebook's power is real. Instead of rejecting it, he begins to see it as a tool to reshape the world. Driven by his resentment toward injustice and inspired by the idea of becoming a force for good, Light decides to use the Death Note to eliminate criminals. He believes that by killing those who harm others he can create a safer, better world. As Light continues using the notebook, he confides in Mia Sutton, a rebellious and sharp classmate who quickly embraces the idea. Unlike Light, Mia is more ruthless and ambitious, encouraging him to expand their mission. Together they begin systematically killing criminals across the globe, carefully controlling the circumstances of their deaths to send messages. Soon the mysterious figure responsible for these deaths becomes known worldwide as Kira. Public opinion becomes divided. Some see Kira as a savior delivering justice while others view him as a dangerous vigilante. As Kira's influence grows, crime rates begin to drop and criminals start turning themselves in out of fear. However, law enforcement agencies around the world recognize the threat posed by someone with such power. The case draws the attention of Elle, a brilliant and enigmatic detective known for solving impossible cases. Elle deduces that Kira is not acting randomly and begins narrowing down the suspect pool, eventually concluding that Kira is likely operating from Seattle and may even have ties to law enforcement. Meanwhile, Light becomes increasingly consumed by his role as Kira. What began as a desire for justice evolves into a god complex as he starts to believe he alone should decide who lives and dies. Mia pushes him further, suggesting more aggressive and reckless actions. Their relationship becomes strained as their motivations diverge. Light still tries to justify his actions as morally righteous while Mia becomes more power-hungry and manipulative. Elle escalates his investigation by setting traps and testing Kira's behavior. He uses controlled leaks of criminal information to see how Kira responds, gradually confirming his theories. As suspicion closes in, Light is forced to become more strategic and cautious, using the Death Note's rules creatively to manipulate events and avoid detection. The tension builds as Light and Elle engage in a psychological battle, each trying to outsmart the other. The situation spirals further when the FBI becomes involved, placing surveillance on potential suspects, including Light. In response, Light uses the Death Note to eliminate agents and obstruct the investigation, showing how far he is willing to go to protect his identity. His actions grow darker and his sense of morality continues to erode. Mia eventually takes possession of the Death Note for herself, leading to a power struggle between her and Light. She demands full control and threatens to expose him if he doesn't comply. At this point, Light realizes that Mia has become as dangerous as the criminals they initially targeted. Their alliance collapses and both begin plotting against each other. The climax unfolds at a Ferris wheel where Light orchestrates an elaborate plan to outmaneuver both Mia and Elle. Using the Death Note's rules, he sets a chain of events in motion, manipulating multiple people and outcomes in advance. The plan results in chaos, with Mia falling to her death and Elle being placed in a position where his fate is uncertain. Light narrowly survives, though severely injured, and manages to regain control of the Death Note. In the aftermath, Light is hospitalized and questioned by his father, who begins to suspect his involvement in the Kira killings. However, due to the complexity of Light's plan and lack of direct evidence, nothing can be proven. Light appears to have lost his memory of the notebook, a side effect of temporarily relinquishing ownership, which further protects him from suspicion. At the same time, the brilliant detective Elle continues closing in on Kira's identity. He meets Light's father, James Turner, and demonstrates his deductive abilities by analyzing early Kira cases. Elle identifies that one of the first victims was only reported locally in Seattle, proving that Kira must be operating from there. This discovery leads him to conclude that Kira likely has access to police databases, making it highly probable that the killer is connected to law enforcement. This revelation places Light in immediate danger as his father works within the police department. To test his theory, Elle publicly challenges Kira in a televised broadcast. He calls Kira a coward and dares him to kill him while cleverly hiding his real name. This confirms Elle's suspicion that Kira requires both a name and a face to kill. Light watches the broadcast in frustration, unable to act against Elle due to lacking this crucial information. Meanwhile, the world watches in fascination as the mysterious battle between Kira and Elle becomes more public and intense. As surveillance tightens, FBI agents begin monitoring suspects, including Light. Mia, growing more ruthless, suggests eliminating the agents to remove suspicion. Light resists, insisting they should not kill innocent people, but Mia's perspective has shifted. She believes anyone who threatens their mission is expendable. Eventually, a shocking series of coordinated deaths occurs. Multiple FBI agents commit suicide under mysterious circumstances. This marks a turning point, as Kira has now directly targeted law enforcement. Light is horrified by these deaths and initially suspects Ryuk, the death god, may be responsible. However, Ryuk denies involvement and reminds Light that all actions stem from the notebook's user. It soon becomes clear that Mia orchestrated the killings using the Death Note's rules, proving her willingness to go far beyond Light's original limits. This realization deeply unsettles Light as he begins to lose control over both the situation and Mia. The situation escalates further when Light's father publicly denounces Kira on live television. He declares that Kira is nothing more than a cowardly murderer and challenges him directly. This bold move puts Light in an impossible position. Mia pressures him to kill his father to maintain Kira's authority and reputation, arguing that failing to act will make Kira appear weak. However, Light refuses, unable to cross that personal line. This decision becomes a critical clue for L, who realizes that Kira spared someone close to him. L soon confronts Light face to face at school, revealing that he strongly suspects him of being Kira. However, L admits he lacks concrete proof and prefers to wait until he can fully expose him. Their conversation is tense and philosophical, with Light attempting to justify Kira's actions as necessary to create a better world, while L firmly rejects the idea of justice through murder. This confrontation highlights their opposing ideologies. Light sees himself as a savior while L sees him as a dangerous criminal. Desperate to eliminate L, Light devises a complex plan involving Watari, L's closest associate. By writing Watari's name in the Death Note and controlling his actions, Light hopes to force him to reveal L's true identity before dying. However, the plan goes wrong when Mia secretly interferes, removing the page from the notebook. This results in Watari's death without revealing L's name, devastating L and pushing the investigation further into chaos. Mia's actions reveal her true nature. She has grown addicted to the power of the Death Note and no longer shares Light's hesitation. She confesses that she manipulated events, including the deaths of the FBI agents, to protect their mission. Worse still, she reveals that she has written Light's name in the Death Note, planning to save him only if he surrenders control of the notebook to her. This betrayal shatters their relationship, turning them into enemies. The final confrontation takes place at a Ferris wheel during a chaotic sequence. Light and Mia struggle over the Death Note, each trying to outmaneuver the other. Light attempts to convince Mia to abandon the notebook and escape with him, but she refuses, fully embracing her role as Kira. In a desperate moment, both fall from the collapsing structure. Mia dies from the fall while Light survives by landing in the water. It is then revealed that Light had orchestrated the entire sequence of events in advance using the Death Note. He manipulated multiple individuals, including criminals, to ensure his survival and to eliminate Mia. He also arranged for the page containing his name to be destroyed, saving himself from the fate Mia intended. This complex plan demonstrates how far Light has evolved into a calculating and ruthless strategist, willing to sacrifice anyone to achieve his goals. In the aftermath, Light is hospitalized and appears to escape suspicion due to a lack of evidence. However, new Kira-style killings continue, suggesting that Light's influence persists through carefully planned actions. L begins to suspect that the killings are connected to an object rather than a person, hinting at the supernatural nature of the Death Note. Light's father eventually confronts him, having pieced together the truth. He realizes that Light was responsible all along. In a quiet and emotional moment, Light admits that he made mistakes and tried to fix them but lost control. He explains that he initially believed killing criminals would make the world better, but things became more complicated. Despite everything, he still clings to the idea that sometimes choosing the lesser of two evils is necessary. The story ends on a dark and ambiguous note. Light's transformation from an idealistic teenager into a manipulative killer is complete. Meanwhile, Ryuk observes everything with amusement, reminding the audience that humans are capable of great destruction when given power without limits. The film ultimately explores the corrupting influence of absolute power and questions whether true justice can ever exist when one person decides the fate of others. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.